Our next center of a triangle is called the centroid. The centroid is created by the medians. Remember, medians are things that go from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite angle. What the centroid does is it splits the entire median into kind of a 1/3, 2/3 type ratio. So the entire median would have a length of 3. This little short part from the centroid down to the midpoint would have a length of 1, and then from the centroid up to the vertex would have a length of 2. So this is the centroid right here in the middle. Okay, so centroid to the midpoint, this little short part down at the bottom is 1/3 the length of the whole thing. And then if you know the short part, you could double it to get the long part. So with centroids, we're going to do a lot of calculations along those ways. So for instance here, if EC, BA, and DF are medians, if BA was 24, so if the entire length was 24, okay, I want to know what this length is there, and I want to know what this length is down here. Well, I take that entire length of 24, and I'm going to divide it by 3, which means this part is 8. And then if I times that shorter part by 2, I'll get the longer section, which is 16. So 8 plus 16 will give me 24 for the whole thing. Let's do that again with just a different color, okay? And I'm just going to say that what if this length was 5 right there from like GF was 5. So if the shorter part's 5, that means the longer part would be 10, and then of course the whole thing would be 15. Okay? And now let's just make up another one here. What if I told you this longer part was 20? That means this shorter part over here from the centroid to the midpoint would just be 10, and the whole thing would have a length of 30. Okay, so we always need to remember that kind of like 1, 2, 3 pattern, or the shorter part is 1/3 of the whole, the longer part is 2/3 of the whole, and the whole thing. So you can try and remember these formulas up here to help you out. We'll definitely be doing a lot of problems that deal with the centroid. Two other things to note about the centroid. Again, the centroid is created by the medians, and the centroid divides each median into a 1/3, 2/3 ratio. But as I spin this centroid, the centroid never ever crosses outside of the triangle. So two of our centers, the incenter and the centroid, never ever leave the inside of the triangle. The centroid is also the center of gravity of the triangle. It's the center of gravity of a triangle. That means if you ever wanted to balance a triangle, let's say you had one, made out of wood or something else weird, and you were trying to balance it in some way, you would place your balancing thing right there at the centroid, and it would be just perfectly centered on the triangle. So again, centroid, created by the medians, splits everything into a 1/3, 2/3, or the 1, 2, 3 pattern, and the centroid is the center of gravity of the triangle.